So hey guys, I'm your host Adi and welcome to Comic Space where we talk everything Marvel and MCU, and we finally got the Thor Love and Thunder full official trailer, and I gotta say it looks very thunderous. They are keeping the humor and all of the elements from the Thor Ragnarok, but this time they are making it on a bigger scale. Today we are going to break down Thor Love and Thunder full official trailer, but before we start today's video, don't forget to grab that subscribe button so you don't miss out any of the latest Marvel or MCU update. So let's start today's video. So at the start of the trailer we get to see Korg and some other people that are surrounding him, and Korg is actually telling a story of Thor. Korg refers Thor as a space Viking, which is actually correct. He travels through space and now he has also learned to travel through space by using Stormbreaker, and he can summon Bifrost on command. And he is the from Norse mythology, and Norsemen are Vikings, which is also. And next we go where Korg and Thor are looking at a dead beast, and this beast is actually Gorr the Behemoth, and he is a friend of Thor. And this is like Takia Waititi has plastered the page from the issue number 3 of Thor the God of Thunder. And in that very issue, Gorr the God Butcher was also introduced in it. And probably from this point, Thor went on to investigate what is happening and who is doing all of this and who is hunting all of these gods. And then we see Thor working out, and he is also pulling a spaceship which is going to the other direction, and he is pulling it off to the other direction. And I think this is the best shape Thor has ever been and as ever we have seen him. And then we get to see Thor fighting some very dark creatures, and I do think they are sent by Gorr the God Butcher himself. And then we see Mjolnir just about fine. You can see all of those cracks are still on it after Hela destroyed it. It then Thor reaches for the Mjolnir, but Thor is no longer in the command of the Mjolnir, and it goes back to Jane Foster, who is Mighty Thor. And right now, Jane Foster is the Thor. She is the Thor. She is the Mighty Thor. Thor is just not a name, but it is also in title. And in Thor Love and Thunder, we see Thor is trying to find himself and getting over all of those things happen when Thanos snapped, Avengers Endgame, and also Jane. But she do come back in his life once again. And then Jane also asks him how long it has been. 3-4 years, and then he tells her the exact amount of time that has been passed, implying that he haven't moved on. And King Valkyrie also teases him by saying, am I sensing some feelings? And then we go to Gorr the God Butcher, and I gotta say he looks amazing and so as terrifying. Christian Bale really brings so much Gorr the God Butcher into the Gorr the God Butcher. I mean, it's not much, but he really is owning that. And we get to see him reaching for the all-black Necro Sword, and we hear him saying that only one gods care about is themselves. So this is my vow, all gods will die soon. And if you don't know who is Gorr the God Butcher, so let me explain. So Gorr's life started on an unknown planet, and he was told to worship gods, and then he go on to having a family. But however, one by one they all died, and just right before his last son was going to die, he prayed and begged to the gods to help him and to save his son. And after that his son died, and he started believing that gods are not real. Then the people of his planet exiled him. Then one day Gorr saw two gods fighting, one with the purple skinned god wearing a golden armor, and the other god was Null, the god of the symbiotes. And then purple skinned god begged Gorr for the help, and on that point of time Null's sword turned it into a mass, and that mass got bonded with the Gorr the God Butcher, and that's how he got his all black Necro Sword, and that's how he become the Gorr the God Butcher. And then we get to see Thor, Mighty Thor, Korg, and King Valkyrie going onto the boat, and Thor putting down his Stormbreaker so he can summon the Bifrost. And then we get to see Tooth Grinder and Tooth Gnasher taking them to the Olympus, and they both also have powers. And it looks like Mighty Thor have different set of powers than our Thor. It looks like she is throwing sort of ice balls when she is fighting on the Olympus. And she is the mighty Thor. She might have tapped into some extra powers that Thor haven't. And then we get to see Gorr the God Butcher again, and he is using his all black necro sword. And then he flashed the sword into a moon, and the whole moon get destroyed. And I do think it is a moon and not a planet. And then we get to see Thor and King Valkyrie is going up against Gorr the God Butcher. And it looks like they are in another dimension, and it might be the primordial void. This is probably God's stomping ground. And one thing to look out, that Gorr does acknowledge the fact that Thor is a very different than any other god. Probably other gods are arrogant and they really does think about themselves. That's why he went on to killing every god. And he acknowledged that Thor is very different from any other god, like he said in the early in the trailer. And he says that he is different because he has something to fight for it. And then we get to see a clash between Gorr the God Butcher and the King Valkyrie. And if you blink it, you might miss it. When King Valkyrie is going up against Gorr, you can see she's actually using a lightning bolt as a weapon. And that is the same lightning bolt that we saw in the hands of Zeus. And Zeus probably gave it to her before going up against Gorr the God Butcher. And then the very last scene of the trailer. And if you blink it, you might miss it again. When we see Mighty Thor holding up the hammer up in the air and someone lightning, she is actually in a chamber and she is surrounded by some of the statues. And on her left there is a statue of the living tribunal, and we do get to see living tribunal in the Multiverse of Madness also. And little further from that we get to see the Watcher statue, and the face of the Watcher is just like from the What If and not like from the we have seen in the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. And on her right there is a statue, looks like to be the Lady Death statue. And a little further from that there is a one statue that is very hard to recognize, and a little further from that that is one of the biggest cosmic entity, that is the cosmic entity Infinity. And all of these peoples are very big cosmic entities and they are very important to the universe. So this is might be the very important place, and this might be also the place where Jane Foster found Mjolnir and became the Mighty Thor. I might be wrong, but this looks like a very important place. And at the very end of the trailer we see Russell Crowe as Zeus and Thor is in chains, and with the flick of Zeus, and Zeus managed to blow all of the Thor's clothes, and all of the ladies and some men they were standing beside Zeus faints. And while I was watching the trailer for the first time I missed it, and that the thing I missed it that was that Thor does have a Loki tattoo on his back, which is a very emotional thing. And I can imagine when Thor and 2012 Loki will get to face with each other, if that ever happen. That will be really something, but we gotta wait for that thing to happen. Well, I don't think so that ever maybe happen, but that really would be something. Well, that's it for today's guys, and let me know your thoughts about the Thor Love and Thunder trailer and how much you are hyped about the movie. I personally loved it. It was very amazing, and Gorr the God Butcher really looks amazing and pretty terrific also. And the whole trailer was pretty amazing and thunderous. So now is the time for me to sign off. Well, thanks to listening to me guys. Stay safe, stay amazing.